Why negative people are ruining your life and how to cut them off. Let's be real. Every single one of us has encountered negative people. Sometimes they're obvious, the ones who constantly criticize, complain, and drain the energy out of every conversation. Other times they're more subtle, disguising their negativity under the pretense of just being realistic or playing devil's advocate. But here's the problem. Whether they're loud and toxic or quiet and insidious, negative people are shaping your life in ways you don't even realize. They're not just a minor inconvenience. They are, without exaggeration, one of the biggest obstacles standing between you and the life you actually want. And the worst part? Most of us don't even see it happening. Think about it. How many of your thoughts, your beliefs, your decisions are truly yours? How often do you hesitate before taking a risk, not because you believe it's a bad idea, but because someone else planted a seed of doubt in your mind? How often do you find yourself drained, uninspired, or unmotivated after spending time with certain people? These are not coincidences. We are social creatures deeply influenced by the people around us, and that influence can either elevate us or drag us down. And here's the brutal truth. For many of us, the latter is happening far more often than we admit.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound insights.
The first step in freeing yourself from this invisible prison is recognizing just how much negative people control your life. And make no mistake, this is control. Every time you internalize their doubts, their fears, their cynicism, you are allowing them to shape your reality. You are adopting their version of the world, their limits, their insecurities, and even worse, you start to believe that these are your own thoughts. But what if they're not? What if the voice in your head telling you that you're not good enough, that you shouldn't even try, that you'll fail anyway, what if that voice was never really yours to begin with? Let's go even deeper. Why do negative people behave the way they do? Some are fueled by their own insecurities. Seeing others succeed reminds them of their own failures, so they unconsciously try to pull others down to their level. Others have simply accepted a bleak, limited version of the world, and they genuinely believe they're helping you by forcing you to see it the same way. But regardless of their reasons, the result is the same. They are projecting their limitations onto you. And if you let them, they will trap you in the same small, miserable reality they inhabit. But here's the good news. You have a choice. You always have a choice. You do not have to accept their version of reality. You do not have to carry their fears as your own. You do not have to allow them to dictate what you believe is possible. You can cut them off. And yes, I mean that literally. You can choose to distance yourself from people who drain you, who discourage you, who make you doubt yourself. This is not cruelty, this is self-preservation, because if you don't take control of your environment will take control of you. Now, let's pause for a moment. Ask yourself who in your life is subtly or not so subtly holding you back? Who makes you feel smaller, weaker, less capable? And here's the harder question, why are they still in your life? What are you afraid will happen if you start to distance yourself from them? These are not easy questions, but they are necessary, because until you confront them, you will remain stuck. And the longer you stay stuck, the harder it becomes to break free. The truth is, cutting off negative people isn't just about avoiding toxicity. It's about reclaiming your own mind. It's about freeing yourself from the invisible chains that have been holding you back for years, maybe even decades. It's about realizing that you are not obligated to carry the weight of other people's negativity. You are not responsible for their fears, their doubts, their insecurities. You have your own path to walk, and you cannot afford to let anyone else dictate where it leads. But here's the paradox. Negative people don't always look negative. Sometimes they're the people closest to us. Sometimes they're the ones we love. A friend, a sibling, even a parent. Someone whose opinion you value, whose presence has been a constant in your life. But here's the brutal question you have to ask yourself. Does their presence make you better, or does it make you smaller? Do they lift you up, or do they weigh you down? And if it's the latter, what are you willing to do about it? Because make no mistake, if you do nothing, the cost will be your potential, your happiness, your future, the hidden cost of keeping negative people in your life. Most people never stop to calculate the cost of negativity. They feel it, of course. They sense the exhaustion, the hesitation, the slow erosion of their confidence, but they rarely step back and ask, what is this actually costing me? And that's exactly why negativity is so dangerous. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't come crashing in like a wrecking ball. It seeps in quietly like a slow poison, altering your perception, limiting your ambition, making you believe that your dreams are impossible, that your efforts are pointless, that life is just a series of disappointments waiting to happen. And the worst part? You don't even realize it's happening. Imagine a life without that weight. Imagine waking up and feeling light, feeling clear, feeling genuinely excited about what's ahead. Imagine setting a goal and actually believing you can achieve it, not because someone else validated it, but because you know deep in your bones that you are capable. That feeling, that's what negativity steals from you. And if you get too used to its absence, you stop even realizing it was ever there. You assume that life is just meant to feel heavy, that doubt is just part of existence, that dreams are just fantasies meant to be admired but never pursued. But none of that is true. That's just what happens when you've spent too much time absorbing other people's limitations. Take a moment and think about the people you spend the most time with. Not just the obvious ones, the ones you physically see every day, but also the voices you allow into your mind, the social media accounts you follow, the news you consume, the conversations you engage in. Every single one of these elements is shaping your perception of reality. And if too many of them are negative, your world will shrink. You won't even notice it happening, but one day you'll look up and realize that the person you used to be, the one who was excited, who was hopeful, who believed in something bigger, is gone. And in their place is someone who is just trying to get by, who plays it safe, who doesn't even entertain the idea of something extraordinary. This is the true cost of negativity. It doesn't just make you feel bad in the moment, it rewires your brain. It changes the way you think. It convinces you that playing small is the only option, that dreaming big is foolish, that failure is inevitable, so why even try? And once that belief takes root, it starts to dictate your actions. You hesitate, you procrastinate, you find reasons to stay in your comfort zone, you find reasons to stay in your own comfort. And before you know it, years have passed and you're still in the same place, living the same life, wondering why nothing ever changes. But here's the thing, nothing will change until you do, until you make the conscious decision to reclaim your mind, to take back control of your environment, to stop allowing other people's negativity to shape your reality. This isn't easy. It requires brutal honesty. It requires looking at the people in your life, the ones you love, the ones you trust, and asking yourself, are they helping me grow or are they holding me back? Are they expanding my vision or are they keeping me small? And if it's the latter, am I willing to do what's necessary to protect my future? This doesn't mean you have to cut everyone out of your life overnight, but it does mean you have to set boundaries. You have to decide, consciously, how much access people have to your mind, to your energy, to your time. Not everyone deserves unlimited access. Not everyone has earned the right to influence your thoughts. And if someone is constantly bringing negativity into your world, it is your responsibility to protect yourself. No one else will do it for you. Ask yourself this: how much of your life, your energy, your happiness, your potential have you already sacrificed to negativity? How many moments of joy have been stolen by someone else's bitterness? And more importantly, how much more are you willing to lose? Because the truth is, you will never eliminate negativity entirely. It will always exist. What matters is how much of it you allow into your life, how much power you give it, how much space you let it occupy in your mind. Now, here's the final question, the one that will determine everything. If today were the last day you ever had to make a change, if this moment were your last chance to take control, would you be willing to do it? Or would you let another day slip by, hoping that somehow things will fix themselves? How to remove negative people without guilt or regret. The moment you decide to distance yourself from negative people, something strange happens. Guilt creeps in. Doubt whispers in your ear. You start to wonder, am I being too harsh? What if they need me? What if I'm abandoning them? And just like that, you hesitate, you delay, you convince yourself that maybe things aren't that bad, that you can handle it, that you should just be more patient. But deep down, you know the truth. You know that every time you let them back in, every time you tolerate their negativity, you are the one paying the price. Your energy, your happiness, your potential, it all gets drained, bit by bit, until you're left wondering why you feel so stuck, so uninspired, so exhausted. But here's what you need to understand. Protecting your peace is not selfish. Choosing your own growth over someone else's toxicity is not cruel. You are not responsible for saving people who refuse to save themselves. And most importantly, you cannot sacrifice your own well-being for the sake of keeping others comfortable. Because that's what this really comes down to. Comfort. It's comfortable to keep things the way they are, even if they are unhealthy. It's comfortable to avoid confrontation, to avoid difficult conversations, to avoid making choices that others might not understand. But comfort is not the goal, growth is. And growth requires difficult decisions. So how do you do it? How do you remove negative people from your life without drowning in guilt or regret? The first step is clarity. You need to be brutally honest about who is adding value to your life and who is taking it away. Not in an abstract, vague way, but in concrete terms. How do you feel after spending time with them? Do you leave feeling motivated, inspired, and empowered? Or do you feel drained, discouraged, and full of doubt? Or Do you feel drained, discouraged, and full of doubt? Do they celebrate your successes or do they diminish them? Do they offer solutions or do they only complain? These answers will tell you everything you need to know. Once you have clarity, the next step is boundaries. And this is where most people struggle. They think that cutting someone off means making a dramatic announcement, burning bridges, or starting a confrontation. But that's not necessary. Most of the time, distance happens gradually. You stop engaging in conversations that drain you. You limit your time with people who bring you down. You become unavailable for negativity, and over time they either adjust or they fade away. The key is consistency. If you keep letting them back in, if you keep making exceptions, if you keep tolerating what you know is harming you, nothing will change. But what about the guilt? What about the fear of hurting them? This is where you need to shift your perspective. You are not responsible for how people react to your boundaries. You are responsible for protecting your own energy. People who truly care about you will respect your decision, even if they don't like it. People who only care about what they can get from you will try to make you feel guilty, and that alone should tell you everything you need to know. The real question is, do you trust yourself enough to put yourself first? Do you believe that your happiness, your peace, your growth are worth protecting even if it means disappointing others? Because at the end of the day, this isn't just about cutting off negative people. It's about choosing the kind of life you want to live. Do you want to be surrounded by people who inspire you, who challenge you, who push you to be better? Or do you want to stay stuck in a cycle of negativity, always wondering why you never feel truly happy, never feel truly free? This is your life, your one shot, and if you don't take control of it, someone else will. So the question is, will you choose yourself? Or will you keep waiting, hoping that somehow things will change on their own? Rebuilding your life with positive, uplifting relationships. Once you've removed negative people from your life, an entirely new challenge emerges, filling that space with the right people. Because here's the truth, negativity leaves a void. It's easy to focus so much on cutting people off that you forget about what comes next. If you don't actively seek out positive, uplifting relationships, you risk falling back into old patterns, letting the same kind of people slip back in simply because you haven't built a better alternative. Nature hates a vacuum, and so does your mind. If you don't fill your world with people who elevate you, it will naturally drift back to the familiar, even if the familiar was toxic. But here's the beautiful part. Once you create space, the right people can finally enter. You start attracting individuals who think bigger, who dream without limits, who see challenges as opportunities rather than obstacles. You begin to surround yourself with people who genuinely want to see you win, not out of obligation, not out of competition, but because they believe in you. And that changes everything, because when you're around people who believe in you, you start believing in yourself at a level you never thought possible. The question is, where do you find these people? The answer starts with you. The relationships in your life are a reflection of the standards you set for yourself. If you want to be around ambitious, positive, growth-minded individuals, you have to embody those traits yourself. You can't just wait for them to show up. You have to become the kind of person they would want to be around. That means working on your mindset, your habits, your character. It means stepping into the version of yourself that no longer tolerates mediocrity, that no longer settles for negativity, that demands more from life. And when you do that, you'll start to notice something incredible. People of the same energy will begin to gravitate toward you. But this isn't just about attracting the right people, it's about maintaining those relationships. Positive relationships require effort. They require presence, vulnerability, and reciprocity. You have to be willing to give as much as you receive. You have to invest in others the way you want them to invest in you. Too many people think that once they find the right friends, the right mentors, the right community, everything will just fall into place. But that's not how it works. Strong relationships are built, they are nurtured, they require time, trust, and consistency. This means letting go of the fear of reaching out, of starting conversations, of putting yourself in new environments. It means being intentional about who you spend time with, about who you allow into your inner circle, because your environment shapes you more than you realize. If you surround yourself with people who are constantly pushing themselves to be better, you will naturally rise to that level. If you surround yourself with people who are complacent, who make excuses, who see life as something that happens to them rather than something they create, you will slowly sink to that level too. And here's the final, most important part. When you find good people, cherish them. Too many people take great relationships for granted. They assume that support, encouragement, and positivity are just things that happen automatically, but they don't. They require effort. If you want to maintain uplifting relationships, you have to be that source of light for others too. You have to celebrate their wins, support them through their struggles, and bring value to their lives in the same way they bring value to yours. So, ask yourself, what kind of relationships are you actively building? Are you surrounding yourself with people who make you better, or are you still holding on to connections that keep you small? And more importantly, what are you willing to do about it? Because in the end, your life is only as good as the people you share it with. And if you don't take control of that, no one else will.